Hello and welcome to Cubase Elementary. We're having another look at Cubase Elements 10. This is a follow-up video to the one I did last week where I gave you a brief overview. The first thing to say is that Cubase Elements 10 has an improved audio engine, and also I read that Steinberg have increased the quality of the resampling, so if you ever have to, say, convert 44.1 audio files to 48, you should get a much more pristine conversion. Okay, jumping straight in, let's have a look at the channel strip. As per usual, you've got your noise gate, your compressors, EQ, saturation, limiter, etc. And you can click on the equalizer tab for a more conventional view of the equalizer, which does make me think that as you have that option, it would have been nice to have on the actual channel strip itself a more SSL style equalizer, so you have both options. You can reorder all of the bits of the channel strip into any order you like. Another nice feature is for each of the three compressors, if you hit the expanded view button, you get a view of the actual compressor plugin. I know that one of the reasons why people didn't use the channel strip before is that all of the knobs were very small and it just wasn't particularly user friendly, so having this option is a nice touch. Another feature, which isn't new, but it's something that you should be aware of, is it's possible to move where the channel strip is in relation to your inserts. So by clicking here, you can put the channel strip before or after your inserts, depending on what you want to do. Right, moving on, it's worth mentioning that Cubase Elements 10 comes bundled, as usual, with a whole host of loops and samples and MIDI data, and all of this can be found in the Media Inspector on the right-hand side. Steinberg have also updated the GUIs of lots of the plugins that you get with Cubase. In fact, there's only a few now which have that old style GUI. And it's now possible just to add an insert just by dragging and dropping it, which is a great feature. As you can see, all of the Steinberg plugins already have thumbnails, and for all of your third-party plugins, you can generate your own. Once a plugin has been open, at the top of the plugin there's a little camera icon, and if you click that, it will generate a thumbnail which will be shown in the Media Inspector. We actually have a new plugin available to Cubase Elements 10 users, which is the MIDI gate. I'll be doing a proper video all about this within the next week or so. And it's a great plugin, especially if you were disappointed that Cubase Elements 10 didn't come with a sidechaining feature. Steinberg have also made a few usability improvements. For example, when you add a track, it's now laid out very nicely and you can choose what the input is, what the configuration, mono or stereo, routing, and also the channel name and how many channels you'd like to add. Another feature that I really like is that you can now view multiple tracks within the sample window. Here we have a kick track in red and a snare track in orange. If I select both of those and open them in the sampler window, you can now view both of them at the same time. This feature is going to be particularly handy when you're looking at edits to do with timing, for example, timing a bass drum with a bass guitar, etc. And you can click between the ones that you have selected so you know which one you're actually editing. In this example, I only have 2 audio tracks, but I think you can do as many as you want. But the key is to use different track colors so they easily stand out from each other. Next, it's worth mentioning about the new Latency Monitor, which actually shows you what the latency per track is, which is a handy feature to have, especially if you're using Cubase Elements for live performances. Steinberg have also made mention that they have improved the algorithm for HitPoints. HitPoints is a really good feature, especially for drum replacement, and once you're happy with the HitPoint selection, you can create regions, events, or convert a selection to MIDI notes. Moving on to the improvements within Groove Agent SE5, the first thing to mention is that the window is now completely resizable, which is really good, especially if you have a high-res monitor. As you'd expect, there's a whole load of new sounds to have a listen to. My personal favourite is the new kit, which is simply called the Kit. I think it's a really good sounding drum set. Functionality wise, there have been two really good improvements to Groove Agent SE. The first is, previously there were only 8 layers per pad, but now there are 32, so you can have up to 32 samples on one pad, which is amazing. The second improvement is previously you could split Groove Agent into 16 stereo outputs into Cubase. This has now been increased to 32. Other features include that if you click the folder icon on the right hand side, this opens up a new inspector with all of your instruments and samples and MIDI patterns. And if we click on pattern, we go through to a new menu which makes going through intro, main, fill and pattern beats an absolute breeze. And to the left of that, there's an XY pad where you can manipulate the MIDI to come up with more or less complicated patterns and also change the intensity of the drum beat. So all in all, I'm very impressed with all of the updates to Cubase Elements 10. I hope this video has been useful. Please do subscribe to my channel as I'll be posting loads more videos within the coming weeks. The next video will be on the new Cubase Elements 10 MIDI gate plugin. Bye for now, and I hope you join me for the next video.